What's up everybody, and thank you for joining me for another video. My name is Whack4863, but you can call me Whack. You're about to enter a very select group of Thrall hunters. I'm going to show you in this video how to be a monster at knocking out thralls. Let's get into it. And this build also works really well with your followers. So let's jump straight into the build, and there's something that I want to explain first. Now this is an authority build, and you can see my bonus concussive damage as of right now is 120%. The highest you're going to see this in this build is 160% because the stats page does not take into account any of the armor that I'm going to be wearing. Let's throw that armor on and I'll show you the stats page again, and you can see that my concussive damage stays the same at 120%. I'm also going to use a couple of buffs in this video. That's going to be the Savory Feast and the Elixir of Sight. If we go back over to the stats page, you can see that gives me an increased 15% concussive damage from the Savory Feast and an increased 30% concussive damage from the Elixir of Sight, totaling at 165% concussive damage. However, with this build, your bonus concussive damage is actually 275% because of the armor that you're wearing. Now, in order to complete this build, you're going to need to go to the Overlord Journey step. This is unlocked by completing the Thrall Taker Journey step, but you're really looking to get the Slaver's Hood. The other thing you're going to need is up here in the volcano. It is right next to the Shrine of the Oracle, and it is this book here. If we interact with that, we learn the Skelos Cult Master Armor, and that's going to complete our armor set. While you're in the volcano, make sure that you get a bunch of raw ash while you're up there, because all of these pieces do require raw ash in order to craft them. I also recommend crafting all of these pieces with a tier 4 thrall so that you can get the bonus to concussive damage and to follower damage on the stats of this armor, as well as whatever other bonuses you want. I personally like the Shield Right Armorer so that I get the additional armor value. The recipe for both the cultist armor and the slaver armor is basically the same. You are going to need the layered silk to craft all of this. Additionally, you can feed the same items to your thrall to get those buffs on them as well. So if we go into their stats page, you can see she has the additional 15% increased concussive damage and the additional 30% increased concussive damage. And then if I have her follow, she's going to gain some more attribute points from the build that I'm running. So let's jump into the build. I have it set up as a strength build because you get more concussive damage when you are running a strength build. So we have 2 points in strength. The second one being the equipped armor weighs less because I'm not putting a lot of points into expertise, and I'm not using my buffs for carry capacity, so I need some points in expertise just so that I am not over encumbered. Next, I have 3 in vitality, fast healer being the one that I chose. In authority, you could see I went all the way with authority, and I chose well trained for my follower. You could do this with the 2 follower setup if you wanted to. They're just not going to get that extra damage and that extra boost from the armor that you're wearing if you choose war party over well trained. Then I have 2 points in grit, and the point that I chose was endurance. Your stamina regeneration is 25% faster. And again, like I said, the 1 point in expertise, and that's simply so that I am not over encumbered with this build. So let's run through this build in its entirety. First of all, I have Seth's Truncheon with the master weapon fitting on it. I also have the purple lotus orb, although I'm not really using those with this build. It is something that you can do on the side if you want, but those are not necessary for this build. Jumping into the armor, the Slaver's Hood crafted with the tier 4 thrall gives me 62% additional concussive damage. This is a huge number for concussive damage, so keep that in mind when you are putting this build together. You really need to do that journey step to unlock this. It also has follower damage, and you're going to notice that all these pieces have follower damage. The Skelos, it gives an additional 12% per piece. It also gives an agility weapon damage, but since we're using a strength build for this, I'm not really worried about the fact that that's there. The follower damage for these is an additional 10% as well for each piece, so we have the rest of the set all the way down. One thing to note about the Slaver's Hood is currently it is a medium armor, even though it says it's a heavy armor. Lastly, I did some testing with Firespark 81 with both the Purple Lotus Orbs and this build to see if this build was devastating in PvP, and I'm happy to announce that neither of those things actually affect a PvP battle. When I was hitting Firespark with this build and actually using the truncheon against him, he was losing the exact same amount of stamina that he would have lost if I didn't have this build on. So we tested it both ways, where I had the build active, and then we tested it where I didn't have the build active. Additionally, the Purple Lotus Potion did absolutely nothing to him in PvP, so you don't have to worry about somebody just running up and wrecking your stamina with this build in PvP. And this build is really, really good for knocking out thralls. It's not necessarily something that I would recommend that you run all the time to just do your daily farming or your daily fighting. This really is a specific build to just go out and be a slaver. I'm going to come up here to the Mounds of the Dead. I'm just going to knock some people out, show you how monstrous this build actually is. This is a build where you can knock people out before they're even able to attack you or to kill you. You can see that's 3 hits right there, 4, 5, and 6. And the Thrall's gotten into it, and so it's going to be way faster than it should have been, but it takes about 9 hits to knock out a named Thrall. Now, there certainly is a build that you could go out with the potions as well. You can see those in my hotbar. You can use those as you want to, but you're going to see that this is just a monstrous build. I'm literally going to knock a lot of these guys out way faster than I could even kill them. So if you're looking for a build that's just monstrous, you want to get through areas very, very quickly, and it's all thralls, just put this build together and you could actually set it up where after you've knocked them all out, you drag them to a certain spot and kill them all with some poison gas or something like that. But as you can see, this is just a monstrous build. I don't see any way that anybody would be able to kill these enemies faster than I'm able to actually knock them out. And I can't tell you how much fun one-shotting thralls is. Just running up and hitting them 1 or 2 times and just seeing them knocked out is absolutely a blast. I've run through the Mounds of the Dead a couple of times now with this setup, and it's way faster than going through and actually trying to kill the enemies that are in here. You are an absolute monster when it comes to concussive damage. As long as you can get your shots on right away, you are going to knock them out in just a few hits. Unless they're actually a named thrall, then it's going to take about 9 hits to knock them out. This is one of the more dangerous areas in the Mounds of the Dead right here, just because of the sheer number of enemies that's in here, and I'll show you how quickly we can actually get through this section. We even have a named Sumerian Berserker in here, so that'll be a good test. But as you can see, that one is knocked out. That one will soon be knocked out, and okay, we'll try to get in here and get some hits on. Let's see. There we go. There we go. And no, that last one didn't hit. There we go. And as you can see, just everything's knocked out much faster than it would have been if I'd run in here and tried to kill him. And then, like I said, if you wanted to, you could take some gas orbs with you and just toss those out, or gas arrows, and that will kill the enemies that are laying on the ground after some time. So that's an easy way to clean up after yourself if you don't want to leave these folks laying around for someone else to stumble up on. So there you go, we are able to kill all these guys while they're passed out and then do our looting from there. Like I said, really simple way of running through these sections. Now, I highly recommend that if you are doing this, you do keep track of the bodies and you do dispose of them while they're on the ground, because it can cause issues for other people on the server. And it looks like we have a Dalencia Snow Hunter here. We do. So we'll go ahead and just let the Thrall kind of go after that. And you can see just how much damage the Thrall is doing with that truncheon. She is an absolute monster. And there you go, we have a Dalencia Snow Hunter that we can run back to the base. The two-handed sword is a really good one for dealing with enemies on the ground because you could do the downward chop right on top of them and dispense them very quickly. So now that we have Dalencia all ready to go, we'll head back to the base. Now honestly, I think this is the best build for knocking out Thralls. If you guys know something that I don't, or I've missed the mark in this video, go ahead and leave that in the comments section below. I'd like to thank all my YouTube members for your continued support. Y'all are absolute legends. If you'd like to become a legend, there's a button that says join on this page. Click that for details. There's 2 videos on the screen. Click one of those to watch next, and I'll meet you over there.